Here are 20 wilderness survival tips that could be the difference between a good story and a body bag, and most of them cost you nothing but the willingness to learn them. I spent 30 years running search and rescue in the Rockies, and I will tell you now, the people I found alive were almost never the ones with the most gear. They were the ones who knew a handful of quiet things the rest of us forgot. And there is one tip on this list, number one, that decides whether I find you alive or find you 3 days too late. Hold on to that. I am walking you all the way to it. For a long time now, the outdoor world has sold you a simple idea that being safe out there is a thing you buy. The $800 jacket, the gadget with the app. But the wilderness does not read price tags. It reads what you actually know how to do with cold hands, in the wet, in the dark, when the battery is dead. Your great grandfather walked into those same woods with a knife and a wool blanket and came home. The knowledge did that, not the kit, and the knowledge is still here for the taking. My name is Bill, and I spent 30 years as a backcountry ranger running search and rescue in the Rockies. I will tell you straight, some of these skills can hurt you if you practice them careless, so learn them cold before you ever need them. Now, I will be honest with you, a lot of folks who watch this channel are not subscribed yet, and if this kind of thing keeps you safer out there, go ahead and hit subscribe. It is free, and it helps an old ranger keep making them. So let us start at number 20. Number 20. Your fire steel does not need your knife blade. Most folks drag the sharp edge of a good knife down a ferro rod and ruin the blade doing it. You do not need to. The spine of your knife, if it has a sharp 90-degree corner, throws a shower of sparks and stays sharp for cutting. So does the back of a folding saw. Learn which tool on you throws sparks and save your cutting edge for cutting. I have watched a man on a cold ridge saw at his ferro rod with the belly of his only knife until the edge was too dull to make the feather sticks he needed to actually catch the fire, and then he had neither. Do not be that man. This week, take whatever knife you carry and find its 90-degree corner or the sharp spine of your saw, and learn where your sparks come from before you ever need a fire in the rain. A skill rehearsed warm is a skill you still have when you are freezing. Number 19. Fat wood is the cheat code for a wet weather fire. Deep in the stump of an old pine where the tree pulled its resin down as it died. The wood turns amber and greasy and lights like it was soaked in fuel. You can dunk a piece of fat wood in a creek, pull it out a month later, shave off a curl, and it will still catch a spark. You will know it by the smell, a rich pine tar that hits you the second you cut it. Find a rotted pine stump, dig into the heart where the wood has gone amber and heavy, and you have got fire starter that will outlast you. Shave a small pile of curls, throw a spark, and it lights like it was waiting for you. Keep a few sticks of it in your pack, always, and you carry your worst weather fire everywhere you go. Number 18, the dry wood is inside the wet wood. On a soaking day, everything on the forest floor is wet clear through, and beginners give up right there. But split a dead branch open, and the inside is bone dry, protected by its own bark. Baton it down small, then run your knife up the dry interface to make fine curls, a feather stick. Those curls catch a spark when nothing else on the mountain will. Picture a gray morning on the ridge, everything dripping, your hands going stiff, and every twig you pick up bending instead of snapping. That is the moment beginners quit and start shivering. The wood that saves you is one baton strike away, hidden inside the wet. The rain is not the problem. Not knowing to split for the dry heart is the problem. Practice one feather stick in your backyard this weekend, in the wet if you can, and you will never fear a rainy fire again. Number 17. Birch bark burns even when it is wet. That papery white bark is full of a natural oil that laughs at water. Peel a little from a dead birch, scrape some into a fine dust, and it takes a spark and holds a flame long enough to light your kindling in a downpour. That white oil is the tree's own protection against bugs and rot, and it is about the most flammable thing the forest hands you for free. It will throw a little black smoke as it goes, and that is the oil doing its work. Whenever you pass a birch on a good day, take a small piece and keep it dry in your pack. It weighs nothing, and one cold, wet day it is the whole ball game. Number 16. Pine pitch is fire and glue both. Scrape the hardened resin off a wounded conifer, melt it in a tin, and while it is warm, it is nature's glue. good for sealing a leaking cup or a torn tarp or fixing a tool. Cold, it is a fire starter that burns hot and long, even wet. Wrapped warm around the end of a stick and left to harden, it becomes a torch you can relight again and again. One resource, two life-saving jobs, fire and repair, both for free. Gather a little every time you see it weeping down a trunk, wind it onto a stick and let it harden in your kit until the day you need it. Number 15, learn to char material to catch a spark. Take punky half-rotted wood or a scrap of cotton, seal it in a tin with one small hole, and set it in the fire until the smoke stops. What comes out is charred and black, and it will catch the faintest spark and hold a glowing coal you can blow into flame. The old woodsman carried a tin of it everywhere, and modern search and rescue folks will tell you the same thing, that the bridge between a spark and a fire is good tinder, prepared ahead of time, kept dry. A spark is easy. Turning that spark into flame is where cold people fail, and char is the answer the old-timers already worked out for you. Make a tin of it at home this month, and you will never look at a dead lighter the same way again. Number 14. You can split big wood with just a folding saw. No axe, no problem. Make a series of alternating cuts down opposite sides of the log, then pop each section off along the grain. It works best on straight wood with no knots and no twist. The saw weighs a fraction of an axe, rides safe in your pack, and will not take your foot off on a bad swing when you are tired. For a backpacker, that trait is worth knowing. Practice it once in the yard so your hands know the rhythm before the woods ask you to do it cold and wet with the light going. Number 13. Let a heavy log split itself. Here is one that looks like magic. You have got a log too big for your little hatchet. Bury the axe head just off the center of the log. Then lift the whole thing, axe and all, onto your shoulder. Flip it so the blade faces down, and let the weight of the log drive itself down onto the edge. The log is heavier than the axe, so as it comes down, it drives itself onto the edge with far more force than your swing ever could, and it splits itself clean. Physics does the work your tired arms cannot, and you keep your energy for the long, cold night ahead. In a real cold weather situation, every calorie you do not waste is one you get to keep for staying warm. Number 12. One good length of cordage does 100 jobs. Carry about 50 feet of quality paracord and store it in a figure-8 wrap so it never turns into a bird's nest when you need it fast. Good mil-spec cord has inner strands you can pull out for fishing lines, snares, or lashings, turning 50 feet into hundreds. Cheap cord has a useless filler. Buy the real thing, learn one tidy way to coil it, and keep it on you, not buried in the bottom of the pack where it does you no good in a hurry. Cord is one of the few things the woods cannot easily give you, so carry it and respect it. Number 11. You can make rope from a living sapling, no cord at all. Find a thin green sapling about as thick as your thumb. Grab the tip and twist it while you rotate your arms like you are pedaling a bike. The inner fibers pop and give, and the whole stick turns bendy and strong, a rough rope you can lash a shelter with. The inner bark of cedar and the roots of pine do the same job, soaked and split down. The woods are full of cordage if you know how to ask. And stay with me here because we are getting close to the one skill that decides everything, the one I promised you at the start. Fire and rope and shelter all buy you time. Number 1 spends it. Number 10. A tarp beats a tent 9 times out of 10. A small tarp packs down to nothing, sets up in under 3 minutes, and gives you a dozen shelter shapes a tent never will. Tie one corner high to a sturdy tree to shed water steep, peg the back low, and put the closed back to the wind so the weather blows up and over you instead of into your bed. A tarp with the back staked low and the front lifted into a lean-to will keep you dry through a storm that would flatten a cheap tent, and if the wind swings, you can drop the whole thing to the ground in seconds. Learn 2 or 3 tarp setups cold in your yard until your hands do it without you thinking. Then you will never again be caught flat in a downpour fumbling with poles while the cold works its way into you. Number 9. In the wet, the driest wood is standing up, off the ground. Sticks lying on wet ground have wicked up all that moisture and will fight you all day. Dead branches still attached to a standing tree, up off the floor, are far drier, and the joints where a conifer branch meets the trunk are packed with resin and light easy. A stick that snaps clean with a sharp crack is dry enough to burn. One that only bends and hangs on by a strip of bark is still green and will smoke and sulk. Reach up, not down. Snap test everything and gather more than you think you need because you will need double, and you do not want to be crawling around for fuel after dark. Number 8. Know the bow drill before your lighter ever fails. Friction fire is hard, and I will not pretend otherwise. But a bow drill made from a dry, soft wood spindle and a bow, worked steady until the dust smokes into an ember, is fire from nothing but wood and effort. You do not want to learn it for the first time when you are cold and scared. Practice it warm, at home, so your body owns it. A man with only one way to make fire is one dead lighter away from trouble. Number 7. A simple snare can feed you, but know the law first. When the food is gone, a spring pole snare or a live trap built from a few sticks and some cord can put protein in your belly. Set it on a game run, guide the animal in with a little brush funnel, and let the trigger do the work. Here is the honest part, though. In most places, this is illegal outside a true survival emergency, so learn it, practice the knots dry, but do not go setting traps on your weekend hike. A trap works while you sleep and while you gather wood, which makes it worth 10 times what your own two hands can catch chasing game. Know it cold for the day you truly need it, and not one day before. Number 6. The woods warn you before the storm hits. You do not need a nap. A sudden drop in temperature, the air going cool and fresh, the wind starting to pick up. That is a weather front rolling in, and you have got minutes, not hours. The moment you feel that shift, stop whatever you are doing and get your shelter up and your tinder under cover. Chimney smoke laying flat, birds going quiet, that cool, damp push of air against your face. Those are the woods telling you plainly. The people I pulled out hypothermic were almost always the ones who read the sky too late and got caught soaked with no roof over them. Learn the signs and move the second you feel them, not 5 minutes after the first drop hits your neck. Number 5. Boil your water and rig a smart way to do it. A rolling boil for 1 full minute kills what makes you sick, and a gut full of bad water will drop you faster than hunger ever will. Lash 3 sticks into a tripod, hang your pot from a simple hook, and you have a stable cook rig over any fire. Carry a single wall metal container that can sit right in the flame, not the fancy double wall kind that will not take direct heat. Filters and tablets are good backups, but heat is the one method that never runs out, never clogs, and does not care how filthy the water looked going in. A $3 steel cup has saved more lives than a $200 filter ever will, because it always works. Number 4. The woods will feed and medicine you, but only if you are certain. Pine needles steeped in hot water give you a real dose of vitamin C. Birch sap runs sweet and clean in spring. But for every plant that heals, there is one that looks close and kills. And I have carried people out who guessed wrong. So the rule is iron. Never, and I mean never, eat or brew a wild plant you cannot name with total certainty. When you are not sure, you go without. You will not starve in 3 days, but the wrong route can stop your heart in an afternoon. Doubt is the whole safety system. Learn 3 edibles and 3 killers that grow where you hike, cold, from a good book and a real teacher, and stay off everything else. Number 3, keep a dry tinder pouch and fill it on the good days. This is the habit that separates the prepared from the hopeful. Every time you are out on a dry, easy day and you spot good tinder, birch bark, wood, dry grass, a bit of char, you tuck it into a small pouch and keep it dry. Then when you are cold and wet and shaking and every stick around you is soaked through, you reach into that pouch and you already have the one dry thing that starts your fire. The version of you that is calm and dry today is the only one who can help the version of you that is freezing and scared tomorrow. Preparation is just kindness to your future self, paid in advance. Number 2, when you are lost, stop moving and shelter. Here is where most folks kill themselves, and it is not on you, because every instinct screams to keep walking, to find the way out, to fix it. But a person wandering is a person burning calories, getting colder, leaving the search area, and turning an easy rescue into a body recovery. The moment you know you are truly lost, you stop, you shelter, you get warm, you stay put and make yourself easy to find. I have spent whole nights walking a search grid for someone who, had they simply stopped and made camp when they first got turned around, would have been sitting a quarter mile from the trailhead the whole time. Instead, they kept moving downhill, always downhill, deeper into country that got steeper and colder until the search got a great deal harder than it ever needed to be. A still person alive tonight beats a walking person gone by morning. The hardest thing I will ever ask you to do out there is nothing on purpose, and it is the thing most likely to save your life. Number one, make yourself impossible to miss because that is what decides it. This is the tip I promised you at the very start, the one that decides whether I find you breathing. All the fire and shelter in the world buys you time, but being found is what gets you home, and most lost people do everything they can to stay hidden without meaning to. So you flip it. You carry a whistle, and you learn the signal that is recognized the world over, three blasts, again and again, because a whistle carries far past your voice and never wears out your throat. You can even cut a whistle from a green stick if you know how. You use a mirror or anything shiny to flash at aircraft, aimed by making a V with your fingers and putting the light through it. You lay out bright gear, you build three fires in a line, you leave sign. Here is the truth of it. Somewhere along the way, the industry taught you that safety is a thing you carry, and it sold you a pack full of it. And that is not a conspiracy, that is just money. But no gadget on earth saves you if the searchers cannot find you. Your great grandfather knew to sit tight by a smoking fire and blow a horn, and every modern rescue team will tell you the exact same thing, that the found are the ones who made noise and stayed put. So on the day it all goes wrong, do not hide and do not wander. Be loud, be bright, be still, be findable. Because that is the whole thing in the end. Everything else on this list buys you hours, and being findable spends those hours well. Learning these skills does not make you paranoid, and it does not make you a doomsday man. It makes you the calm one when the trip goes sideways, the one who does not panic, the one whose family gets to keep him. That is not about fear. That is about walking into wild country as someone it cannot easily kill and walking back out on your own 2 feet. That is freedom, plain and simple. So do me a favor and drop a comment below and tell me just two things. Which of these 20 tips you had never heard before today, and the closest call you have ever had out in the woods? I read as many as I can, and the stories teach me things every single time. Thank you for spending this time with me. Learn it now so I never have to come looking for you.